It's certainly a very great pleasure being with you. And I would like to ask about this broad range of accomplishments that you have been making. So, from a professor and researcher to an innovator and an entrepreneur. So, what goes behind this? What is the vision behind this?
Yeah, so in fact, I came back to India in 1998.
Yeah.
Prior to coming here, I was in the University of California, Los Angeles. I spent a couple of years there.
Yes.
So when I came back to India, I was looking at working on the same problems that I had started there in US. So almost 98 to 2004, 2005, for the next 5-6 years, I was primarily continuing on my
Yes.
doctoral and postdoctoral research, and so much of that work was related to CMOS, which was
Yes.
all
Yes.
the technologies that go into building the mobile phones, the
Yes.
current laptops, and the 10 nanometer node CMOS and all of that. So one of my major interests has always been in the CMOS area.
Yes.
So much of the work that I did was for companies like Intel, IBM, Infineon. So I had lots of projects from
Yes.
all these industries. So that was what I was doing primarily, and at around 2004, 2005 kind of a time frame. So I asked myself, is that what I want to continue to do? Continue
Yes.
to work for these international companies and contribute to these CMOS kind of technologies,
Yes.
which are good, which will give you a lot of international contacts. They will also give you good industry kind of sponsorship and all of that. But I think at around that time, 2004, 2005, now we started asking at IIT Bombay, where I was earlier, can we do something for the country?
Yes.
Because CMOS is not something, the semiconductor manufacturing in India is not really happening. It has not still been happening. And so as a result, we said, can we do something which is also relevant for the country? So along with my CMOS area, I started to work in the sensors area, and this area is primarily known as micro or nano electromechanical systems.
Yes. Yes.
So these are all the sensing platforms,
Sensing.
and so we said, if you are trying to sense something, can it be for things which have an application in India, which can make a difference for people in the country. So one of the problems we started working on as a collaborative effort across many departments was cardiac diagnostics.
Yeah.
So we said, can we develop a very low cost cardiac diagnostic system? So we had a project from a national funding agency. It's called NPMAS or NPSM, which is a DRDO funded program. So we got a project from them to develop a very low cost cardiac diagnostic system, and for that we had to develop a nanomechanical platform, a sensing platform. So there were 5 departments involved from IIT Bombay, and we all started working as a team. It was a very highly multidisciplinary kind of a project. So we started to develop that platform and do tests for detecting certain cardiac proteins in the blood, and so we, as part of that activity, we built a very sensitive sensing platform based on the nanomechanical devices. And so once we developed the platform, then we started to see applications of this platform in diverse domains. So around that time, 2008, 2009 time frame, we also got a project funded by the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office to develop an explosive detector system, more like an electronic nose, which can replace a sniffer dog. And so we started working with the PSA office, and we were trying to build a system which can detect explosives in the vapor phase. If somebody is carrying any of these banned material or materials that are a security risk, if someone is carrying them to the airports, like a sniffer dog, can we sniff these materials and give a alarm, so that people cannot enter airports with those sort of materials. So that was a project that we took up, and we successfully built prototypes, and we started testing them, and we found certain problems. We started improving on that, and so that is another activity that we started to work on. So primarily these 2 activities, one related to healthcare, the cardiac diagnosis, other related to security, the explosive detection. So, these projects required that platform. The platform is still the same, but the applications are in diverse domains. Then we started to build prototypes and work with the Indian government agencies and try to see how to take them to the field, so that in the case of explosive detector, the security agencies will get to use them, and in the case of healthcare, the doctors will be able to use them. That is when we started a company called NanoSniff Technologies Private Limited.
That's right.
And to that company we transferred these technologies, and they started developing them further, and now they have been working on it for more than 5 years now. So now they have a team of their own, and they have been able to raise quite a bit of private investment. And they are now able to, they are close to marketing these products, at least one of them, the explosive detector part. The cardiac thing may take some more time, but the explosive detector, they should be able to market sometime soon. And they developed lots of new technologies on their own, and the one led to other. So finally, whatever we initiated, finally I am confident we will see the light of the day, and that should happen very soon. And in my research now, I started to move more towards the agriculture side. There is another area where tremendous innovation, tremendous potential exists for innovation is agricultural sensors. Because in India, the agricultural productivity is very low, and more than 50% of Indians work in the agricultural sector, but it only contributes, with 50% of Indians working in that sector, the contribution to GDP is only 14% or 13%. It's actually in the range of 13 to 15%. So that is because the productivity levels are low. They also tend to use a lot of water. India is a country where we don't have enough water. In fact, we are like 18% of the world population lives in India, but we have only 4% of the world's water resources. So we need to conserve water. But in many states like Maharashtra, 80% of the water goes for agriculture, only 20% is for human consumption. Now when 80% of water goes for agriculture, much of that water is not put to good use, because the farmers don't pay electricity. They think that water resource is infinite, and they tend to overuse water. So one of the things we asked ourselves was, can we develop sensors with which the farmers will be able to know what is the optimum water for that particular crop. Basically measuring the soil moisture, and with that soil moisture, if you can tell the farmer that you don't have to put any more water, this is sufficient, then the farmers can save water, because now they have the sensors available to them. And so we started working on the soil moisture sensors. That work became very important, very interesting, and now some of my students are starting a company called Soil Sense Technologies Private Limited. So that's the second company that we are incubating right now.
After this NanoSniff technology.
So I think through these two startups, we hope to commercialize at least these technologies, one related to security, one related to cardiac, one related to agriculture. And in agriculture, it's not only the soil moisture, we're also eventually targeting the soil nutrient concentration. In India, there is overuse of pesticides, overuse of fertilizers, and that's harming environment, it's harming people. And so can we even suggest to the farmer what is that the soil needs, by doing tests in the field, and can we tell the farmer that the soil actually requires only this particular nutrient in this concentration. But if these tests can be done in the field itself, where the farmers don't have to send out the reports and wait for the send out the samples and wait for the reports, then a lot of money is saved, time is saved, and farmers will also trust the data better, because if they are all done right there locally in their eye, in front of their eyes, and they can see all of that. So we started, we are also working on the soil nutrient monitoring systems, and so that is something where we want to help the farmer detect the nitrate concentration, phosphate concentration, potassium concentration in the soil, and even advise the farmer what is that the soil actually requires. So in all of this, in the university, we can go up to a certain level in terms of technology readiness level. Then the companies take up, and through these startups, the startups put a team together. They start interacting with the venture capitalists and other external agencies, and then they fine tune the technologies.
That's
They
right.
sometimes need to develop a new technology compared to
right.
what they have taken from the university.
That's
So all
right.
of that process takes time. The technology
Yes.
incubation is a slow process,
It's a slow
but
process.
I think now we think we are there. We think
Yes.
that we know how to now convert research into products
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's
even
right.
build companies out of those
Yes.
research technologies. So
Yes.
so things are looking positive now,
Yes,
and
yes.
many of my students are also now beginning to think of starting their own companies.
Yes,
So
yes.
many of my PhD students particularly are now looking at entrepreneurship as an option. So
Yes.
it's all a process of building that ecosystem. And
Yes.
when we started, we faced many problems,
Yes.
but now with the kind of problems we faced, with the kind of solutions we found,
That's
it
right.
also sets a roadmap for
Yeah,
other people to follow.
that's
Because
right.
one of the problems we faced in India was we were able to make prototypes, one or two prototypes, or some cases 4 or 5 prototypes. But if
Yes.
you want to do the tests in the field, these are not sufficient. You need to make hundreds of prototypes or
Yes,
thousands of
of
prototypes,
course.
do 10,000 tests in the field. But that kind of a thing will require scaling up our activities,
Yes, yes.
and that requires facilities. Where would you make, for example, 1,000 prototypes of a system? And these are all very high technologies like the nanotechnologies. They will
Yes.
require certain tools, very
Yes.
sophisticated
Yes.
tools,
Yes.
and so these facilities were not available in the academia for prototype manufacturing application.
That's right.
You can do with the facilities available in the academia. You can make 1 prototype, 2 prototype, 3 prototypes, but you cannot make thousands of prototypes.
That's
So
right.
that required us to build facilities
Yes.
for prototype manufacturing, and but all of that took time. But I think whatever we did is all in the national interest,
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's
these
right.
facilities are now available for others to use, and so whatever problems we solve, I think is also the problems any technology entrepreneur will face,
Yes.
and they will also offer
Yes.
those solutions to them. So that is what we are counting on.
Yeah.
I think it's
yeah.
all a matter of building that ecosystem, and
Yes,
which is
yes,
what
yes.
we are working
That's right.
towards, and
That's right.
hopefully all these technologies will see the light of the day very
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.